Welcome back to the Champion's Mind. I'm your host, Nara Fields. This podcast is all about helping you level up your mindset through the lens of sports, discipline, and personal growth. Today, we're diving into leadership and not just what it looks like in the boardroom or on stage, but what it looks like on the court, in the locker room, and in life. I'm sharing 4 lessons that sports taught me about leadership, lessons that go way beyond tactics and into character, care, and connection. So the first thing I learned through great leaders in my sports career, number 1, great leaders care more about people than performance. Before the stat sheet or the scoreboard, they care about the person. And a coach who did this for me was Moise. He was my first ever basketball coach when I was growing up in Montreal, BJ Sport. It was the first time I was on an organized basketball team. And the way he cared about me, not just me, but every player on our team was so amazing. I had never felt more seen, more understood, more cared for than any coach I had ever played for. He went above and beyond. At times, I didn't have food at home to eat. He would bring the entire team to McDonald's before the game. And then he would drive all of us on this little minivan to the game. And he would always just pour into us. At times, if I didn't have money to get on the bus, he would take me from practice and bring me home before he went home himself. So he always just did these little things to really pour into me as a player, more importantly, as a person, just trying to help me out whenever I was struggling or whenever my family was struggling. And that was really the first time I felt seen and truly cared for beyond just the basketball player from a coach that was coaching me. And just reflecting and going back to how so committed I was not to only becoming a basketball player, the best basketball player I could be, but one, giving him my all because he had, before he did anything in terms of pushing me to my limit as a basketball player, he really demonstrated first that he cared about me as a person. And honestly, that made me more motivated to, one, push myself to do everything I can to repay him. And that looked like just balling in the games, pushing myself, pushing my teammate, because we knew that because he was so loyal and dedicated to our growth beyond the court, that we were going to, one, do the same for him. And that pushed us to, one, have the trust and the care to play our hardest for him in the game, just as a thank you for him being able to just pour into it the way he did. So there's a big difference between a transactional leader versus a transformational leader. And the boat that Moise fell into was more of a transformational leader. He didn't just care about the stat sheet. He didn't just care about how many points they scored. He didn't care how many wins we won as a team. He cared about, one, pouring into us well beyond the court, understanding that we all came from pretty hard communities and upbringings and family household. And he wanted to pour into that side of us first and use basketball as a way to, one, build our character and build our resilience. What I've experienced after him more in my pro career is someone who's a transactional leader. And these are the leaders who, one, they only care about your performance and what you can do for them. The minute you're not performing for them, minute you're not winning games for them, they do not care about you in terms of anything, because at that point you're not giving them what they want, which is the performance, the wins. And from there is very transactional. You give me what I need and then you pay me to do XYZ on the court, and that's very transactional. It doesn't go deeper than that. So I really want to challenge everybody who's listening that, are you checking in with people as people first? So here's somebody who's a leader or who aspires to be a leader. Do you care about the people who follow you first before what they can give you? So lesson number 2. Great leaders are relationship builder. Trust is built before pressure is applied. And this relates to me in a sense that I had an intern when I was at UCLA. He wasn't actually a coach. He was our mental performance coach. And I had developed a really great relationship with him. Every other week we would get lunch and just talk about how I was doing. Nothing basketball related, just how I was doing personally, how I was doing emotionally, how I was feeling about my grades, how I was feeling about my social life. We just had very small conversations about my life in general. And we did that consistently. I always remember us going to Jamba Juice, or he would bring me and get pizza around campus. And that was kind of a consistent thing. And then through there, like he always really checked in about how I was doing. Like I could have a great game, but he was really more focused on how did I feel? How was I feeling internally? How was I feeling emotionally? How was my mental health? And he really cared about things that were beyond me just being a basketball player. And that really built my connection. And that allowed us to, one, build something where I felt very comfortable just opening up to him in the hardest times of my life. And he was able to challenge me and push me in ways that no coach had ever did because he was consistently sewing into me, not just when things were going well, but also when things were going bad. He was there at the most and just always supporting me in any way he could. So really this opened up our relationship to ones to be able to hold or have him hold me accountable for things that I wasn't doing great in my life. And there was one particular moment where it was my sophomore year at UCLA, and I was really contemplating about leaving and transferring to Ohio State because I just felt like the environment wasn't right for me. I wasn't playing my best. I wasn't really on the same page with our head coach. And I sat down with him and I voiced this to him and told him, like, I'm really considering leaving. And in that moment, he challenged me. He said, I know a lot about you. He talks a lot about your upbringing, your childhood. And the one thing that is happening in this moment is the continuing a cycle of running away from your problem. And although like you might feel like you can go to Ohio State and have a better opportunity, there's always going to be something, no matter where you go, that's not going to be perfect. And if you continue to, one, not face your problems head on and really resolve them in the moment that it happened, that you're just going to continuously have this cycle in your life where you're running away from your problem. And he challenged me to be like, yes, Ohio State looks like it's the grass greener on the other sides, but in this moment is a place where you can grow and actually end the cycle of you running away from your problem. And in that moment, I trusted him to have my best interest. And it allowed me to, one, hear him in a way where I felt like what he was saying was valid and right because he knew me beyond the court and that everything he's saying is for my best interest. And I can really just take that in, reflect on it. And actually, I decided not to go to Ohio State. I decided to figure it out and actually stay at UCLA to continue my career there. And it really just allowed him to hold me accountable and challenge me in ways that I knew that it was all about love and it wasn't about his best interest, but about my own. So how this relates to like business or entrepreneurship or just any relationship you're trying to build with someone that you're not really close yet, but you want to build that relationship is, one, people don't hear what you say until they know that you care. The minute somebody can see that you care about them beyond your own selfish interests or your own self incentives, they're more likely to hear what you have to say. And that's how trust is built. So it really goes beyond just whatever the business deal is, but really understanding from a personal and human level who this person is, what do they care about, and having a genuine interest in that as a way to establish the relationship and build trust. So this is lesson number 3. Great leaders show they care first, then use tough love. When people know you care, you earn the right to challenge them. And this applies to me in a lot of ways. There's a lot of coaches who challenged me, but the ones who challenged me and I knew like they loved and cared about me and really just wanted me to grow and be the best I can, I took that differently than the coaches that didn't show that. And specifically, there was one incident where I was at UCLA and I guess I was just getting too confident, too cocky. I was playing really well. I felt like it didn't have to go as hard in practice. I felt like I didn't need to push myself because I was just in the groove. I was confident. I was doing well. And there was one particular practice where I was really just coasting. I was chilling, like, and you could see it. It was pretty obvious. And my coach, Corey Close at the time, she stopped the practice and she was like, Naira, like honestly speaking in front of everybody, are you giving 100% right now? And I looked at her and I just said, no, I know I'm not giving 100%. And then she challenged me, you're like one of the best players on our team. And how you're showing up in this moment isn't reflective of you being someone that can lead this team and be a leader on our team. So I need you to, one, give everything you need to give in practice. I don't care how many points you score. I don't care if you're a starter. You definitely have to come to practice prepared to push yourself and go as hard as you can. And she challenged me in that moment to do it. And I took it as a challenge and I took it and I was just like, you're right. Like, I'm not going as hard as me to get to go. And I said, she was right. Like, I wasn't going as hard as I needed to. And in that moment, I took it in because she wasn't trying to embarrass me. She really was just trying to get the best out of me in that moment. And I knew it. And I responded to it in a way where I pushed myself and brought the intensity from that point on. So there's really a balance between like compassion and compatibility. And some people either just are super compassionate, understanding, given to like people's excuses. And then people sometimes teeter on the other side of being too accountable, of not really taking into account that this person is a full human and that they have things beyond what the goal is that could be impacting their performance in any given moment. So honestly, there's the balance between them. And I feel like the best coaches know, or the best leaders know, what that sweet spot is. And specifically, like I've had coaches who were one way too hard on me and I didn't respond well because I knew that it was coming from a place where I wasn't sure if they really cared about me as a player. So I didn't receive it well. And then there was coaches who were one, just gave me the green light because I was a great athlete, but didn't hold me accountable to one, pushing myself to get better. And the best coaches, what they were the ones that one, they invested into me beyond the court, and they had compassion for my certain circumstances that were also affecting my performance, but they also held me accountable on the court when it mattered the most. And that's where I feel like the best leaders come into play, where they can hold you accountable, but also have compassion. So in sports, there's like this concept of like tough love, and it's very like evident when it's happening. Like when you're on the court or you're in practice and you have someone suicides, or your coach doesn't want to like push you guys too much, but like you guys are just not performing right or you're not doing anything right. So she just tells you to get on the line and you just run the whole practice. That's essentially what in the sports world or in basketball we call tough love. But some leaders just don't understand when to apply that and when it's acceptable. And in my own experience, I've seen where tough love is more of a thing where the love is developed first and then the toughness comes after. So, for example, going back to Moeed, we knew he loved us. We knew he cared about us. And like when we didn't excel or we didn't meet our potential in a certain game, even if we won, if we beat a team by 20 and we should have beat them by 40, he did not care. Like he always wanted us to play our hardest and do our best. And there were specific games where we would win the game. And right after the game, after shaking the other team's hands, he would just have us run suicides. So like that's when you're just running up and down the court consistently. And you do it for a number of times. And then you get to a point where you're just so tired. He would actually have us after a full game of running and jumping. Right after the game, we would all be on the sideline and we just run sprints. And then we were running up to where he was like okay with us, or where he felt satisfied. And that was his version of tough love, because he knew that we didn't meet the potential that he knew we could. And he wanted to, one, discipline us in a loving way to really push us to excel at a higher level. So I just want to encourage everybody who's listening. You don't have to be soft or harsh. You can be firm and loving. Both can coexist. And that's where the emphasis of tough love comes in. So moving on to lesson number 4, great leaders walk through the storm with you. They don't just direct you from the sidelines, they go through it with you. So a personal story of mine where a coach or a mentor really just walked through the storm with me was when I had my life coach. I was going through like a really tough time. I was trying to figure out my identity, who I was. I felt like I had achieved everything I wanted. Everything in basketball was going great, but I still felt a sense of like just pain and emptiness that I didn't know how to get through. And I really sat down with my life coach to really dissect where that pain was coming from. And she just allowed me to have a place where I felt safe, seen, and just be open to how I was feeling. And in those moments, consistently when we meet, I would just really reflect on all of the things I'd been through growing up, all the pain I endured, all of the not enoughness I felt from just being through a lot of trauma. And she really just directed me through the storm, was able to like ask me questions that really made me reflect on the things that I went through and how I could, one, start to recover and find healing through it. And those moments were hard. Like I would always go into those meetings super anxious, feeling sweaty. Like I didn't love them. It was super uncomfortable. And she made those moments really easy to get through because she was there with me, guiding me through it. And so through that moment of like just being able to open up to her, to be completely vulnerable and talk about the things that hurt me the most, I was able to, one, develop a lot of respect for her, a lot of loyalty, and a lot of just inner strength. She allowed me to see that although I had a lot of pain built up inside of me, that I can use that pain as fuel to, one, feel the strength I needed going forwards. And it gave me all of the confidence moving forward to really be able to see my life in a way where it didn't matter what I went through. It could be a challenge, it could be an adversity, but as long as I was able to, one, process the pain, reflect on it, and use it as a way to move forward, that I could get through anything. And that's what she taught me in the end. So that experience with her was very different from the ones I experienced while playing like overseas or professional basketball. I played most of my career in Turkey. And what I noticed was that the coaches that would coach me, whenever we were winning, they were super happy. They were my best friend. They loved me. They would always congratulate me. And there was so much joy and happiness. But the minute we started losing games, the minute I didn't score enough points to help the team win, that's when they really just went blank. And you can see them like withdrawing and not being able to, one, pour into me the same way they did when we were winning. And that, on contrast with the way that I saw a lot of the coaches who I played for, especially in the pros, where it was just very transactional. Whenever we won, it was great. But whenever we lost, it was just like everybody would send for themselves. And that's where I saw the difference between like a really great leader versus a really more of a transactional leader. So that's the reason why some of the teams I was on, we didn't really go far. Or we didn't have the performance we needed to because when things got hard, they just didn't show up in the same way. They didn't walk through the storm with us. And we weren't able to use that moment as a way of growth and coming together. And essentially, all those teams or all the leaders that were coaches of that team, we actually didn't do as great as we needed to and had a lot of failures. So I really want to challenge people who are in leadership or who aspire to be in leadership. Are you showing up for your people in the storm or only when it's sunny? And really reflect on that. So just a recap, here are 4 traits of great leaders. They care about you more than performance. They're great at relationship building. They earn tough love. And finally, they walk through the storm with you. So I really want to invite you to think about how is your leadership styles and how you can apply these 4 traits. My challenge for you for this week is choose one of these 4 and apply it this week, whether it be caring more about performance, relationship building, or walking through the storm like somebody. Take these 4 traits and try to apply it to your leadership style. I want you guys to remember this. Leadership isn't a title, it's how you treat people. So I invite you to share this with someone who leads or inspires you. Send me a review, hit me up in the DMs if this is resonating with you. And as always, your mindset is your power, use it.